On Saturday, Bournemouth stopped their Premier League rot with a 2-2 against West Ham United at the London Stadium. It was a game that promised very little at the start. Indeed, it was probably quite a boring spectacle for the neutral. Step forward Evan Nilsson on 38 minutes, who lit the blue touch paper and sparked the game into life. After that, Zabani hit the bar. Second half, 2 soft goals conceded from the Cherries, but then that man Ever notched again, and there were even a couple more opportunities where we could have stolen all 3 points. It leaves Bournemouth exactly where they started the weekend, but that was only thanks to Fulham, who on Sunday put in a super performance against Liverpool to claim their victory against the champions-elect at Craven Cottage. Tom, how was your weekend? All right?
Yeah, no, it was all right, mate. I enjoyed it. It was obviously lovely weather. And yeah, I think stopping the rot, as you said at the start, mate, was quite important. And I think it's the other results that have annoyed us in terms of, dropping points at home. I think a 2-2 draw at West Ham with the players we got out is decent. Annoying that Fulham won. I mean, I was really impressed with them, to be fair. Obviously, typically we got them next, but nice of Liverpool to not turn up the only time I wanted them to. And yeah, but there's obviously a long way of the season to go, mate. Nothing's been settled yet. Everything's still to play for, apart from one thing, I think.
Yeah, so is there any other news this weekend?
I think so, mate.
At all? No?
No, I don't think so. I think there's loads of games to play, so nothing's settled yet, can't be.
Nothing happened on the Sunday that has put a smile on your face?
Nothing of note, mate. No, nothing of note. I'll tell you what, Stockport away is nice.
Anyway, there are a few stats that have emanated from the weekend, including it being, as we said in the vlog, the 4th 2-2 draw in London at a London stadium. Also, we've still never beaten a Graham Potter side away from home. We are still unbeaten against West Ham on a Saturday, though, and that's now the 68th match on the road where Bournemouth have not witnessed a 0-0. But judging by the early stages of that match, it could have quite easily been a 0-0 because it was low on quality, wasn't it? Like a League Two fixture at times.
It looked like both teams weren't in great confidence, to be fair. It definitely looked like that. I kind of expect a little bit more from them. I appreciate from our perspective we're not full of that at the moment, and maybe we were, hoping not to concede early and try to work each other out a little bit. But once the goal went in, it certainly livened up. That did literally just kickstart the game, didn't it? And I think if I was a neutral, you go, that was a fair result. From a Bournemouth perspective, I look at the shots and stuff and I think, we probably could have nicked that. But listen, it was a decent performance, I thought, from the players. They worked hard, and with the options or lack of that we have, I thought we put in a good shift.
One of the guys on West Ham Fan TV on their post-match fan cam said, you know what, for once I've enjoyed a Saturday at the London Stadium thanks to Bournemouth, because they thought we were quite entertaining. But maybe that just shows you where our expectation levels are at. They've been set so high from our earlier season form that even some of us are coming away thinking it's underwhelming. But 2-2 draw...
It would have been, if that was Gary O'Neill, we'd have been dancing the street.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I mean. So a 2-2 draw at their place is not a bad result in the grand scheme of things. And by the way, mate, one thing I've got to say, a lot of people deride the West Ham fan experience. And you know what? Yeah, the stadium's got its issues. It really has. But pre-match, I absolutely loved it this time. It's almost how we found our rhythm with where we want to go, how we're going to get into London, and the walk into the ground is actually really quite nice. Obviously, when you get in there, it's not so great, but if you pick your row, I mean, I thought that view was absolutely fine. There are other stadiums where we're further back. You did. Well done. And also the fact that the away fans are split over 2 different levels, it's so difficult to create an atmosphere. But on a nice sunny day like that, that's actually not a bad pre-match vibe, I've got to say.
I love everything about it. Like I say, the sun definitely helps. We always, when we used to do the away day show, we used to always caveat the weather, because if it was absolutely hammering down, hammering, didn't realise I did that. But yeah, it was a gorgeous day, so it was all perfect. Apart from, it's not their fault. It was us. You can't generate an atmosphere in there, mate. You just can't. No. So everything else is great, but it's just dead.
It is really dead.
So, I mean, don't get me wrong. It reminds me of Tottenham in the sense that both of them, I managed to go to obviously Upton Park and the old White Hart Lane. And both of them were some of the best home fans, and now they're 2 of the worst. Yeah. So it's got to be it's a nice arena, I would say. It's not a football stadium, in my opinion. And I know the West Ham fans agree, but yeah, apart from, the lack of kind of atmosphere within it, it was a good away day.
At this point in time, you're probably either glass half full or glass half empty with regards to how you are looking at the predicament and position that we're in at the moment. So look, let's take it from both perspectives. On the upside, assuming 8th gets Europe, we're literally 3 points off that. We're also, in our games to come, playing teams in and around us, including Palace, Villa and Fulham, so we can directly influence the conversation here. Yes, there are hard games away at Arsenal and City. We know that, but we've got Leicester at home. We've got an unpredictable Manchester United too. So anything can still happen. And what in AFCB's history has ever made you think that what we do is plain sailing? Because we never do it the easy way. We know that. Even when we got promoted in our last success under Scott Parker, that went very late when we should have done miles better than what we did during the season based on the quality of players that we had. But Parker got us over the line just as he might with Burnley, mate. Have you seen that championship table?
I know, it's great, isn't it? I saw, Leeds are falling a little bit. But yeah, Shane Lanley got a double, by the way. That was lovely. He's still our player.
It actually makes me feel like...
I want him to go up.
If he does return, which he probably will with Burnley, but based on how they're...
We'd have to get him early in the season, mate.
But based on how they do... yeah, true. You know what? Scott Parker is good at what his kind of role is, getting championship teams promoted. Credit to him for that.
I don't think we've ever really denied that. It's more the way he is, and obviously you don't want to fall asleep watching your team, really. But yeah, he's going to do it again. He'll probably go around maybe just before Christmas in the Premier League. He'll probably get the boot, and then he can try and take another South Coast club back up, maybe. Maybe. But look,
Pompey look good. There are two conversations to be had, and we're older fans, so we can probably contextualise things a little bit more by looking at the previous decades that we've had with AFC Bournemouth to sort of appreciate how good this season is. We're not trying to gloss over the places where people have been frustrated this season, because you're certainly right to feel that. But in pretty much every metric, we're better than what we were in the 80s, the 90s, the noughties, the 10s, even a better place than last season as well. Plus, we're learning lessons. Hopefully those lessons might change the way we go about things in the future, maybe. And there's a post on Vitals that I just wanted to bring your attention to. So after 31 games versus the whole of last season, this is where we're at. Okay, so the most points we got last season was 48. We're currently on 45. We'll beat that this season, right? Dom, of course, had 19 league goals over a campaign. We probably won't beat that tally for a high goal scorer this season, but Clivert on 12.
Spread it out more, though. Ever's getting a few now, so we're spreading out a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree with that. Most points clear of relegation was 22. That was last season. At the moment, we're 25, which is an excellent thing. The most games we won also in a season has been 13. That's in both the 18-19 season and also last season as well. We're currently on 12, so I'd like to think we'd surpass that. Fewest games lost in the Premier League. At the moment, we're on 10. Previous was 16, and that was in 16-17 season and also 17-18, as well as last season too. Highest league position, of course, has been 9th. We're currently in 10th. I fancy us to level with that.
Yes, it's annoying that season now, looking back, isn't it? Because it
46 points.
9th. Crazy.
Also, our best goal difference previously has been -12. We're currently on +11.
That's brilliant.
Fewest goals conceded in season, 61. We're currently on 40, so I'd like to think that we'll keep that under the 61. And the most goals scored in a season is 56. That was in the 18-19 season. At the moment, we're on 51. So look, I think this season has been pretty much successful, but glass half empty now. Let's just chug a little bit more.
Go on.
Our form's really bad.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Key players have been missing, and we're not going to get them back this season. We know that. We've dropped some points in some big matches, crucial ones, and our record against when we play the lower teams has not been particularly good. We've dropped the ball massively. Players aren't firing on all cylinders, and of course we know why this is. And we were singing about the Champions League. It almost seems futile and silly to even sing about the Conference League now. But Tom, I think there's a world where we can have both emotions there, right? Because we're definitely on always advance, never retreat path, of course. Yeah. Our trajectory is going up, but I think with the way the season started, we wanted the graph to be going a little bit more upward than what it is now. We've plateaued somewhat, which is the frustration.
Yeah, I think no one saw the kind of run we were going to go on, which got us into these positions. Especially when I had all them injuries. But then equally, no one expected us to plateau like we have either. So I totally get both points of view. I think before a ball was kicked at the start of the season, if you had said, so we've got every week, virtually, Ben Winterburn's in the squad, for Dan Jefferson's going to make over 10 Premier League appearances, and we're currently in April, and we're 3 points off Europe. Would you take it? Every Bournemouth fan would take it. But if you said to them, in January, we're getting players back, we've just hit the January window, so we don't know what we're going to do, we're getting players back, and we're 7th, would you take where we are now? You probably wouldn't. So that's the thing, expectations change. I think it was when we hit January, I think everyone was unanimously saying this is going to happen. But then because it didn't happen straight away, we kind of forgot and thought we're going to do it. And now we've forgotten that in January we all went, it's not going to happen. It's, we haven't brought anyone in. My frustration, like I say, ultimately, mate, we've been incredible. And listen, I think one of our biggest pluses is my worry was always replacing Dom Solanke, and the club deserve enormous credit because they replaced him with a player who I think's better.
Yeah.
He's been out for more time and still scoring goals first season, blah, blah. So they deserve enormous credit for that. But in the same vein, in my opinion, they deserve a little bit of criticism for, we went into January in 7th. We weakened the squad. I still can't get my head around that. It must be financial. It must be. Because I'm not talking about, we said this on a previous show, but I'm not talking about going and spending stupid money on backup players. I'm saying we've got about 15 players out on loan. Yeah, that must be a wage thing. Must be.
It must be. Now, given that sort of turnover of players and the way we've had to switch things around and the introduction of the likes of Ben Winterburn and other academy players that have had to sit on our bench, I suppose really, Iraola could be, due some praise for even keeping us where we are, because it could be a much worse position in the league than what we are.
Yeah, he's done a remarkable job in my opinion. And listen, when I say these sort of players, you know why I'm saying it, because they've got no experience. Ben Winterburn was brilliant at the weekend when he come on, by the way. So it's not a jibe at any of them players. They always come on and put a shift in, the two I mentioned for sure. It's just that level in it. If you're trying to compete for them sort of levels in the Premier League, it's going to be very, very difficult, and we're very lucky in the gaffer we've got, because it's not just the experienced players that we lack. It's also the fact that we've virtually the whole season we haven't had a right back, but he's made one. That's the kind of coach he is. We're now thinking we're missing almost our most influential player in Ryan Christie. The only reason he's an influential player is because Andoni Iraola coached him into being a number 8.
I sense that if you saw all of the squads in the Premier League, maybe from the top 10, or even more than that, and the kind of percentage usage of players, I'm pretty sure that we'll have some very high percentages for a lot of our players, and then all of a sudden it just drops off a cliff in the stats, because it seems like we've had to use the same players, and it's not just them playing a lot of football.
Now they're burning out.
It's how we play football as well, and we've said that, and we've seen the stats from previous seasons from Andoni's other clubs like Rayo Vallecano, and even Miranda's as well. I think was very similar too. So it's going to happen, and maybe some lessons will need to be learned.
We mentioned earlier in the show, mate, the Fulham great win against the champions-elect Liverpool, and I looked at that and obviously I thought, Harry Wilson's injured, he's a big player for him, and Nelson, who they bought from Arsenal's injured, he's a big player for him. So they were both out. On the bench they had Raul Jimenez, Willian, Smith Rowe. Do you know what I mean? They had all these on the bench, Adama Traore on the bench. That's the team that's one of the teams that we're closely competing with. I do think that we're very fortunate in the coach we have. But as you say, Matt, I think that's a good point. It's also the style that we play at. So when people like your Justin Kluivert's and Ryan Christie, who were probably two of the best actually, Semenyo as well, in that period where we were brilliant, and doing that every second of every game, is it really a shock that one of them's literally fell off a cliff in Semenyo and the other two are injured? I think that when everyone's fit, that first 11 is good enough to be going for these spots. It really is. We haven't got the squad. We haven't got the bench, and there's a lot of players that put real shift in, but in terms of quality, we haven't got it. And as I say, mate, it just goes back to certain players that I didn't think were quite to the level of this team. So say Philip Billing, just because of the style. Billing's obviously a good player. Chris Mepham, brilliant centre half. See what he's doing at Sunderland. He's not as good as our centre half. But I still don't get how they're not better than some subs. That's my main thing. And like I say, we've literally only just getting the right backs back. So Aaron's just marked Vinicius Jr. out of the game, by the way. Valencia just beat Real Madrid,
Wow.
But he's another one. I get it. I do get why they were sent out, because they're not playing. But if you're not going to replace them, there's no way Andoni would say, actually, let Aaron's go, let Billing go, let Mepham go. I'll just put the youth team on the bench. That's fine. There's no way you would have thought that. So that's what I'm saying. I'm hoping it's just them, obviously knowing more than us, and they're being intelligent with the financial side of things. And if that's the case, then you've got to take that. As much as I'm not in, I'd rather them do that than leave us in some any sort of grief financially.
Some fans were obviously a bit disappointed with the result on Saturday, but the players were as well, right? Kepa was quoted in the Daily Echo as saying, "We are not happy. We came here for 3 points. We'll take one on the road. I think we have to make it good next week also at home." So right now, the points, they're going to cost a lot because we are in the last 8/9 games. Now it's only 6 or 7 to go. So He goes on to say, so we have to take it because we came 2 in a difficult stage. Also, we were close to get 3, but we have to take it. I think we were not clinical at all at stopping the counter-attacks and giving them the chances. Today, 2 headers, obviously, we have to improve because we give them clear chances. A corner, we're all there, but we have to mark better to stop this opportunity. But we are all together.
Yeah.
And look, as fans, we need to get behind the boys because there is still such a chance and such an opportunity.
Yes, mate.
We don't want to talk about the conversation too much, but we will be doing a predictor shortly, by the way, where we're going to predict every single... There's 72 Premier League matches left, right? We're going to go through every single game, predict, and then see where we come. But we need to look at the table right now with Bournemouth in 10th place, and just looking at those little coloured blocks at the end, mate, they do not look healthy, and just turning a couple of those reds into greens, mate, we'd be having Champions League conversations still.
No, I know it's weird. That's what we always say, and we've said it a lot. Where Adoni said about recovering points and stuff. I remember the Tottenham game being obviously annoyed because we were 2-0 up, but thinking it's not a bad point if we beat Brentford. We didn't beat Brentford. This West Ham point, it's not a bad point if we'd beaten Ipswich. I think the thing I'm trying to think is I reckon most fans would have taken 4 out of West Ham and Fulham. It's better to beat Fulham than West Ham in a weird way because of how close they are. This are the two big games. Fulham and Palace in the same week. Look at them. We're virtually sandwiched in the middle of them. If we get 6 pointers on, we're dreaming again if we get 6 points. If we don't get 6 points, I think it's very unlikely that we'll get near enough. But yeah, we'll see what happens, mate. There's, like I say, a lot of football still have to be played. Then there's 19 Premier League teams still playing for every point.
Yeah, so Southampton were relegated at the weekend. It's a shame they didn't have someone that could play for them, that could really make a difference. What was the quote? The worst thing is that I didn't want them to go down. It would have been a lot easier had they stayed up. With me playing, without being big-headed, I think I would have helped massively. Is that quote from the season where Ryan Fraser didn't sign that contract, or is it from this season? I don't know.
No, mate, he doesn't really bother playing football much, does he?
But anyway, commiserations to all our Saints friends.
Go again.
The South Coast Derby will be happening next season. Right, this ain't good though. Look, form table. We're in the bottom 3, mate, along with Saints.
yeah. Well, obviously not surprised, mate. We haven't won a bit, but that even Ipswich have gone above. Well, we let Ipswich go above us, didn't we? It's weird because that almost looks like the league table until us, doesn't it? Frustrating, mate. And now you look back, obviously we were loving it and we were very close, but now you look back and go, the cup maybe didn't help.
Yes.
Which is always one of them things. If you don't win them and you get quite far, you go, that was pointless. But it's all part of it, mate. And as I say, just a bit of burnout with some key players. I think you literally were the one that said it the other week, and I think most people agree that Tav, Christie and Cliver, for the pressing style of it, you can't miss too many of them. We missed them all. That's why I was kind of okay with the fact that it wasn't rock and roll, but we still managed to do enough to well earn the point. I didn't expect us to be rock and roll without them 3. I really didn't.
I suppose the surprising thing is, despite our relative impotency in attack, you've got a back 4 that I think was pretty good, and they weren't on it.
It's weird, isn't it?
At times. I mean, Howson and Zavani.
It's weird because I was when you were reading out Kepa's quotes there, and obviously it reminded me of the goals we conceded. That's the weirdest thing. You kind of understand, it's frustrating, but you understand why we've tailed off a little bit up the front end of the pitch with the legs and stuff. But I always feel like we're good at defending. I remember thinking the Ipswich game, we're not playing well here, but we ain't going to concede many. But that's just gone. Since Zavani and Kirkers have come back from their suspension, so it wasn't an injury. They've fallen off a cliff a little bit. Howson, don't get me wrong, he should do. I mean, Bowen's head is great. He does still he's key for the winner. Not the winner, the leveller. Forever. And Smithy was fine, but we weren't conceding just balls in the box before, were we? It is strange, but it's one of them things.
Did you like my thumbnail for the vlog? East London forever. East London forever. See what I did there?
Yeah, forever.
The Predictor
I did see the goal, by the way. It was on 37.
Yes, you did. Well done. Right, the Predictor is coming up. But before that, we're at the QP. Make sure you're here on Monday. It's Bournemouth versus Fulham, and it's live on Sky Sports. But if you want all the pre-match vibe, pre-match food, and a pre-match pint, hopefully not a pre-match feud. Maybe we'll be having that after the game if we don't pick up the result. But I'm sure we will, Tom, because Fulham's form is... win-loss, 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 win-loss. They crucially won the last game. So does that mean
we'll see, mate. We'll see. We've got to do, I think we're all right. We'll obviously do this on the preview, but I think I remember the Cineworldy. Yeah. So I feel like at home we're right against Fulham.
I thought it was Empire Cinemas, isn't it? Actually, it's View at Tower Park. Let's do the predictor. Right, Cineworld is quite good. In fact, didn't the club do that as one of the pre-match graphics once with the like, how you got your popcorn out and it had Cineworld?
Did it? Oh no, I don't remember that.
For one of them. Anyway, enough of that. The
Could
predictor.
do with an El Marino, by the way. I could do with an El Marino. We haven't had one for a while.
Yeah.
Ooh, one of
Come
them
on,
peps.
Kappa.
Come on.
Maybe this is the time. So look, there are 72 games left in the Premier League and we need to go through and predict every single result. Now, heads up, we're doing this on a Monday. So whether this goes out Monday night or Tuesday morning, you may already know the Newcastle result, but they are playing Leicester, aren't they?
Sure.
We're going to come to that. But firstly, Newcastle have got another game in hand thanks to their Carabao Cup exploits, and that's home against Crystal Palace, Tom. What are you going for this?
Are you making me do it, or we discuss it?
We'll do it. And if I majorly disagree, I'm going to chime in.
I'll go with Newcastle to edge it 2-1.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a close one, isn't it?
I think they'll just have enough against Palace.
Yeah, okay.
So that's the one that's got to be repeated, isn't it? Because of the, because like you say, because of the League Cup. So, I fancy Newcastle to edge it. I think St James's is the key there.
Okay,
At
right.
home,
There we go.
Yeah.
Right, match week 31, the only remaining game is, of course, that Leicester-Newcastle one at the King Power.
I mean, I'm going to assume that Newcastle have to... I don't think Leicester have scored in, like, God knows how long. I'm going to go 2-0 Newcastle.
They're going to have enough. Okay.
No, surely.
2-0 Newcastle. Right, so the complete match weeks begin here. This is our bread and butter now. Manchester City against Crystal Palace. Man City have turned a corner, haven't they? But then Palace have got a couple of results at the Etihad before, I swear.
Yeah, they have,
Their
actually.
form's picking up.
Still going to go there just edge it, so I'm going to go 2-1 City.
2-1.
That's right.
Okay, Brighton v Leicester.
3-0 Brighton.
3-0. Forest against Everton.
1-0 Forest.
Do you reckon? Okay.
Closer.
We'll let you have that. Saints versus Villa, they're not going to win this.
2-0 Villa, just because Villa have played PSG before.
Arsenal against Brentford, you'd have to say that Arsenal.
They've just played Real Madrid, but I think they'll, 1-0 Arsenal.
Yeah, they'll have enough. They'll have enough. Chelsea versus Ipswich, that's going to be routine.
2-0 Chelsea.
2-0. I don't think it's going to be like massive, because they've not been doing great.
No, they haven't. Just drew at Brentford, didn't they?
Liverpool v West Ham.
2-1.
Would this be the game that maybe seals it for them? Maybe?
No, they've still got a few left.
Have they? So 2-1. Wolves versus Spurs. This one's difficult because I feel that Spurs will pick up again.
2-2.
Or maybe they won't.
2-2.
All right.
Yeah.
Newcastle at home to Man United.
2-1 Newcastle. St James's.
Bournemouth v Fulham then, Tom. I think we'll win it.
Yeah, so do I. 2-1 Bournemouth.
Sorry, Fulham fans, but I'm going for a 2-1 Bournemouth. That's what we're going to go for. Right, match week 33. At the end of this, of course, we'll look at how the table.
Oh, God, I don't want to. Brentford, Brighton, that's a close one. I'll go 1-1.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's quite a close one, isn't it?
Okay, Palace, Bournemouth. Now, I think I did this separately, and I was quite conservative, but I think you've got a glint in your eye.
No, I don't think we'll win there. I'll go 1-1.
All right, so we're not going to lose at
No, I'll go 1-1.
Everton versus Man City?
1-0 City.
Well, 1-0 City,
Yeah.
okay. West Ham versus Southampton?
2-1 West Ham. We'll give them a go.
They'll score a goal?
Yeah, we'll give them a
Good.
go.
So they still haven't beaten their points tally as yet, derbies?
Ooh, Villa Newcastle.
Villa Newcastle's a tough one, isn't it?
1-1. Villa at home are a lot better, aren't
Yeah. Let's go 1-0 there. Oh, Fulham Chelsea, West London derby there.
they? Go that 1-0 as well.
Yeah, they're going to get a point there. That'll be 4 points for them, Fulham this
Ipswich,
season
Arsenal.
against Chelsea.
Let's go 1-0 Arsenal. Ipswich.
Ipswich 0, Arsenal 1. Manchester United home to Wolves. You'd think they would.
Yeah, 2-1.
Skank it.
Yeah. Still not convinced by them, mate.
Leicester versus Liverpool.
3-0 Liverpool.
3-0. They're that bad.
Yes.
And then Spurs versus Nottingham Forest again. Another tough one to call.
1-0?
Yeah, I think 1-0 is probably about right.
Yeah, it's
okay, let's go for that.
Right.
Hopefully you're happy at home. If not,
No
we'll
one
pop
will
the
be
link of
happy.
the predictor so you can.
Look, we're not going to get them all right. Maybe, but
Maybe.
very much that will get them all right.
Chelsea versus Everton then for match week 34.
1-0 Chelsea.
1-0 Chelsea.
That's-
Brighton versus West Ham. What do you go for?
Brighton 2-1. Just have it there.
2-1. Okay, Newcastle should beat Ipswich.
2-0.
I think. Yeah, a solid one there. Forest against Brentford.
1-0 Forest. That's such a 1-0 Forest, that.
Yeah, and this is a difference made between Forest and Bournemouth this season
Yes.
because we obviously didn't win that,
Yeah.
and they just grind out results.
Yeah,
it seems.
100%.
Saints at home to Fulham.
2-0 Fulham.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
Imagine if Saints were to do us a favour.
that'd be great if you can say that.
Yeah, because they're nice to us.
Wolves versus Leicester then.
1-0 Wolves.
1-0 Wolves.
Yeah.
Arsenal versus Crystal Palace.
1-0 Arsenal.
Yeah, another tight
Like
one.
I say, all of these, especially Arsenal and Villa, kind of depends on if they go through the semi-final Champions League, that's gonna
true. Yeah.
So there's all caveats here. Obviously, we're just
Okay,
doing it for
now
a
you've
laugh.
said this for ages
Yeah,
that Bournemouth will beat Manchester United.
They're too open against teams like us, and we've
Did
seen
you see
that.
them when they played Nottingham Forest? I thought
Yeah, they were decent.
they squandered their chances.
They're true.
They did lose.
3-1 Bournemouth.
Sorry, 3-1 Bournemouth.
I like how he's doing that when we've been to Old Trafford and won 3-0 2 years in a row.
Yeah, I know, but they've improved recently. I think.
Yeah, no, they have. You're right.
Liverpool versus Spurs then.
2-1 Liverpool.
2-1. I think the title will be theirs by this point. Manchester City versus Aston Villa.
1-0 City. Edge it.
All right. I know certain someone that's not going to be happy with you for predicting that.
That's why I did it.
Okay, then. This is match week 35.
2-1
City versus Wolverhampton.
2-1 City. They're another team that had a few results there, aren't they? But like you said about Palace. Villa, Fulham, what a game. I'm glad they're playing each other.
Yeah.
Go Villa 2-1.
I think home advantage will be key there. Brentford versus Manchester United.
1-0.
Yeah, okay, no worries. Ipswich versus Everton at Goodison Park.
1-0 Everton.
Yeah, I think
Ipswich because they've just beaten us, and now I'm going they'll lose, but they're tough fixes for Ipswich, aren't they?
They'll probably be down by that point, maybe.
Here's the thriller.
And Everton also will be having a couple more games at Goodison Park, so they'll be wanting to go out with a bang. So yeah, Leicester versus Southampton.
Oh, it's got to be 0-0. It's going to be a thrilling 0-0. Scummer's get a point.
Well, so that will equal Derby.
It will, but yeah, they're playing. Yeah, that's going to be a thriller at 0-0.
So West Ham v Spurs then.
I really want to go back and just do 1-0 Leicester. We'll do 0-0. Yeah. West Ham Spurs 2-2.
Yeah, okay.
Good game that one, I reckon.
Yeah, I fancy Dom Solanke bracing that one.
Yeah.
Arsenal against Bournemouth. Oh no.
1-0. I think we can go there and nick it. Nick a little point there. 1-0. We beat them this season already.
Okay, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay,
come on.
We'll go with you.
Brighton Newcastle. What a game.
Mate, Arsenal. We're not going to get a point.
No, we are. I can nick a point at Arsenal. Right. Easy. Brighton Newcastle 1-0. That's a really tight game.
Yeah. Chelsea versus Liverpool.
I know 1-0 because I keep just doing Liverpool to win. They would have probably wrapped the league up.
Yeah.
Palace Forest.
Palace versus Forest. That's a big game. A huge game.
I reckon Palace will go for it and Forest will do what Forest do. I'm going to go 1-0 Forest.
1-0
a little
Forest.
cheeky away, yeah. That is Forest, isn't it? All over.
It is. Right, so Bournemouth then at home to Villa. I fancy our chances against Villa.
Yeah. They'll still be, obviously this is for any Villa fans out there, this is because they're going for like Champions League final.
Yeah.
1-0 Bournemouth. Which rock? It's just a laugh.
Fulham versus Everton.
2-0 Fulham.
2-0
Fulham.
Fulham. Okay, Ipswich versus Brentford then.
Should we give them a point though?
Yeah.
1-0. Yeah, let's give them a point.
Yeah, nice little 1-0. Liverpool versus Arsenal.
2-1 Liverpool.
Do you reckon they'll just scrape it? Manchester United got West Ham at home.
2-1 Man U?
Yeah, Man United win. Newcastle Chelsea, that's a tight one.
1-0? Or just Newcastle?
Yeah, no, I think 1-0.
Yeah.
I went for
11-1, what a game.
Yeah, maybe just go for 1-0.
Yeah.
Forest will beat Leicester.
Yeah, 2-0.
2-0.
Well, we've gone for it.
Saints got Man City.
5-0.
Yeah, 5. Spurs versus Crystal Palace.
Ooh. Well, Palace. Well, I'm going to let you this one.
I think a draw.
Okay, I was going to say 2-2, unless you thought.
Yeah,
that
I'm happy with 2-2, and then Wolves versus.
Tough place to go. That I'm going to go 1-0 in that. Wolves to lick a little point, just randomly. I'm not doing that because that could help anyone.
No, not at all.
No.
All right then. So the penultimate match week sees Arsenal play Newcastle. That's a big game for Newcastle, isn't it? And it could be a huge one for them as well by that stage.
Yeah, so let's go 1-0. Let's say Newcastle.
Yeah, so they're going to get a point there.
Yeah, but
okay. Villa v Spurs, another big one.
2-0 Villa.
Okay.
Yeah, no reaction after us beating them.
Brentford versus Fulham then. Are Spurs still in Europe, by the way?
Yeah, they're still in Europa, yeah. I feel like I always do Brentford 1-0, but I kind of feeling that again. Are you feeling 1-0 at Brentford?
Yeah, I think so.
Brentford are such a 1-0, even though they probably never do 1-0.
Yeah, they're such a difficult side to pick, Brentford. Brighton versus Liverpool.
They'll give them a game, but I'm going to
go... Do you reckon they'll...
2-1 Liverpool. But they'll give them a good game, that'll be a good game.
Are you doing this to...
No. Chelsea Man U, 1-0 Chelsea.
What, Palace Wolves?
Tough one. 2-1 Palace.
Everton versus Southampton. This is their last match at Goodison, so they're going to win it.
3-0.
Yeah, they are going to win. Leicester versus Ipswich.
Oof.
I mean, it doesn't really matter, really.
Let's go 2-1 Ipswich.
Yeah, they have enough. Ruud van Nistelrooy is not the father, is he? Man City, Bournemouth. Let's be realistic. Tom, stop looking at the camera.
We haven't lost it, have we? We'll go 2-1 City.
Thank you. West Ham versus Forest then.
Well, can West Ham nick a point there? 1-0? Forest, I reckon, would already be nailed on then by then.
Yeah.
So,
All right, then.
one more.
So the last match week then sees Bournemouth play Leicester. Surely
2-0 Bournemouth.
2-0 Bournemouth. Okay. Fulham against Manchester City. That's a different. If Fulham need Europe and they got Man City coming.
That's quite nice. Should we do a 1-0?
No.
Oh, okay.
Manchester City going to win that.
All right, 2-0 City.
It's like Manchester City. I think they've turned a slight corner.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe we were the spark to make it happen, just like we were the spark to make it not happen.
Yeah, true.
Ipswich.
Last game in the Premier League at home for Ipswich. 1-0 Ipswich. Nice little see
Oh,
themselves
nice.
out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Fair play Ipswich. Liverpool at home to Palace.
Yeah, they're all partying. 2-0.
2-0, yeah. Manchester United versus Aston Villa.
I'll tell you what, and the Villa fans and watchers will know, they are awful at Old Trafford.
Are they?
Yeah. I think they were 2-0 up last year. I think they lost 3-2.
I don't know what that's like to be awful at Old.
No, weird. But I'll go 2-2. I'll see. They still get a point, won't they?
Okay, Newcastle versus Everton.
2-1 Newcastle.
2-1. Forest against Chelsea.
Will they be in like party mode as well because they've just got Champions League?
Yeah, I mean they will have Champions League.
Should we go 1-0 Forest?
I think it's like going to be a 1-1.
All right, we'll go 1-0. That's fine. I'm just thinking we might be quite close.
Saints versus Arsenal.
3-0 Arsenal.
3-0. Spurs.
I don't think they've scored a goal.
Spurs versus.
I know what would help us. No, we'll go. I actually think that could be a draw anyway. So I'll 2-2, whatever.
2-2. And then Wolves versus Brentford.
I can't do another 1-0 for Brentford. Let's go 1-0 Brentford.
Yeah,
Let's let them have
1-0
it. Yeah.
Brentford.
Oh, I'm nervous now. We've got to edit this whole thing if we don't make it, by the way.
So what we've done is we've now locked all of those results into the system, and now we're going to calculate the league table based on that. So Tom, where do you think that's put us in the table?
Well, I'm hoping I've done it enough to, because my maths is awful. I'm hoping we'll get 8th.
Here is the reveal.
I mean, we only lose one game, but so who do we? That's all right.
Now, those 2 points. Now, let's say that game that you said we'd win at home against what? Did you say no? You said we would do what?
I said we draw with Arsenal. So take that off, and we're still doing it. Our goal difference is very good, so that does. It's almost like an extra point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is nice.
It is. Yeah.
I mean. And I think I've done Brighton to get some big results as well. So, I'm happy with that. Where did Forest got in there? We've done City to come above Forest. I'm not sure about that. Newcastle, Chelsea, Villa,
Newcastle
be still in there. Yeah, lovely stuff. And if there's any Palace fans watching, there ain't many of them. But if there is any of them, yes, you look like you've dropped off bad, but that's because you're going, FA Cup. Oh, no, imagine if they win the FA Cup and then they get it. And then we don't get it anyway. Because they could win the FA Cup and then kick us out.
We don't want that to happen.
No, we don't.
Come on, City.
But yeah, that looks right. And nice. Southampton, more points than before the show.
So can you, if Manchester City were to win the FA Cup, what does that mean? Because that's a European place, isn't it?
It's Europa.
Yeah, Europa. So
everyone drops down a spot from the Europa League. So everyone would. So do you remember last season? Chelsea finished in the Europa League position.
Yeah.
So
what does that mean for us then?
Well, it depends on loads of things. Because
explain it all to me.
So do you want me to tell you about every team in Europe and what happens? I don't know that. All I'm saying is, do you remember when Man U won the FA Cup?
Yeah.
Chelsea were in a Europa League position. Mm-hmm. Newcastle finished in a Conference League position. Man United got Europa League, so Chelsea moved down a conference and Newcastle missed out.
So if it's an extra, so would that mean 8th could be 9th?
Yes. It could, but it also could mean you miss it. It all depends on his coefficient rubbish. Oh. But regardless, we'll get you. That's all that we've worked out there, mate. Happy days. And you said we're going to lose at City. That ain't happening. So,
no, we do need to briefly discuss the West Ham game, the team, etc. So look, these were the lineups there.
Yeah.
And we saw that Tyler Adams was pairing with Lewis Cook, with Adam Smith right back, Dango, Semenyo, Alex Scott-Evan-Nilsson. Was this the same team? This was the same team, wasn't it, that started the previous game?
No, Adams come in for Christie.
Oh, that's
Christie
right.
was out of the whole squad.
Christie.
And Araujo come onto the bench, didn't he?
Yeah.
Which was obviously nice to see.
I mean, when you look at that bench, though, in terms of, difference makers, David Brooks.
That's it. I mean, we could argue now Ben Winterburn. But it's not. I mean, Celeste's barely kicked the ball all year. Soler, we haven't really seen. Araujo hasn't kicked the ball this year. Will Dennis is a goalkeeper. Ben Winterburn's at the academy. Daniel Jefferson's not very good. David Brooks, we love him. James Hill's been really good, but he's obviously a defensive player. And Silcott Dubry, don't really know what he's about. So, that's kind of what we're looking at there. But the start 11 was strong. I was quite happy with it. They were pretty. They made the one that, and he did do some flashes of good stuff as well. But I thought Koulibaly was going to miss out, but he managed to come back. Then he always helped them because I thought he was good. And apart from that, they were pretty much as I expected. Sorry. And yeah, they've got. Look at their bench players. Evan Ferguson was one we were linked with. He didn't even come on.
Of course. Yeah, I don't think they've been overly enamoured with Evan Ferguson.
And they're bringing on a blooming German international centre forward at half time. I mean, and Emerson's won the blooming Euros with Italy. Do you know what I mean? They're a very good team. I think I said this before. They're not there yet, but they've got a new manager. I think what they've done cleverly is brought him in now, where they're going to be absolutely fine. And then by next season, I think West Ham could be a little dark horse next season, actually.
What we did realise is that Ryan Christie is now having surgery, or has had his surgery by the looks of it.
Looks like it because of his...
So there's going to be probably no Ryan Christie for the rest of the season, we're guessing. Why do you think they did it then?
What do you mean?
Because he could have played on for a little bit by the sounds of it, or is it just...
they could have done the surgery in the summer.
Yeah.
He might have then missed start of pre-season and stuff. They obviously were seeing how it went. I reckon
there must be a tipping point, and they just thought, actually, no, let's...
I reckon he's just feeling it too much, and they're going, he can barely do an hour now. So, to be honest, I know we all love Ryan Christie and we're a better team with him, but going forward... I want him ready for next season, mate. So, yeah, it's a chance for other players to try and step up.
So, like we said, the first sort of 30...
I wonder as well, sorry, I was just going to quickly say, I do wonder as well if the fact that Smith's back and Cook can come back in is also in there thinking, and Araujo's back, like the right-back situations means that Cook can now go back in the midfield.
Yeah, so
and it might take him a couple of games again, Lewis, but I thought he played well. So him and Adams, I actually thought were two of our better players in midfield. So it could still work.
So there's nothing, that really went on for the first 35. We had a chance actually early doors where Dango put in a cross for Evan Ilson, who headed just wide, and it was actually a better chance than I remember it in the flesh, really, because we were slightly at an angle, so it's hard to see exactly how close it was. But that just went just wide. West Ham, though, I mean, they were pretty poor. From what was it like? Obviously playing without a striker, Jared Bowen being their focal point up there, but they weren't very good.
No, they weren't, and it was obvious that they were going to do what they did at half time and bring on a striker because it just wasn't working, was it? I think this year you trial these sort of bits, and I think they've got a lot of creative players, and Bowen can do that role, but they were missing a lot of that focal point on there, and you saw that in the second half when Fulkrug come on. He gave them something to, kind of put the ball up to and build from there. So that certainly helped them.
And but we did score when we did. Evan Ilson, 37 minutes, and it was a Semenyo shot. I think some good little interplay. Alex Scott was part of that, and Semenyo then cut in, shot powerfully. The goalkeeper probably should have parried it better than what he did. But then what I liked is just how alert Evan Ilson was, just to get the ball and then put it in the back of the net. He just kept himself onside, but we weren't sure because it went to VAR, and that took an age, of course. But another good strike. He scores all types of goals by the looks of it. Yeah,
no, definitely, mate. And I think the fact that he's now getting them little poachery goals as well, I really like, because that's instinctive as a striker. And if you haven't got that, it's hard to then get it. So the fact that he's got that is really nice. He's been incredible lately.
He's not really having clear chances, is he? They're not clear where everything opens up and he should score. He's not having those chances. He's just having those reactionary moments.
The reaction moments. I think his general play at the moment is honestly flawless. I mean, he's doing everything so well. And we know that Antoine's fallen off a bit and he's getting a bit of criticism because of it, and rightly so. But I think we're quick to forget that there was nothing going on in that game, and it was just one bit of directness from Antoine and a shot that scores the first goal. He still got that. And I still think the keeper should do better. I actually thought that Areola sounds annoyingly like our manager.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
I thought he looked dodgy all game, that goalkeeper. I'm unsure about him. And I know I think he's nearly 40, Fabianski, but he's on the bench. I think Fabianski's better, isn't he?
We hit the bar. Zabani had a header where a corner from Lewis Cook. Oh, corners weren't great, actually, but that was one that was. And Zabani got on the end of it and came off the bar. Half time, we were having some conversations. We won't talk about most of them, but they involved Europe and Champions League. But anyway, second half.
Show me the win.
Second half, I'm just looking
at... We keep conceding quite early in the second half again. I know it's not that early, but we keep conceding in that first little period.
Match timeline shows Emerson came on, but also after that, this is where it sort of changed up a little bit for them with another Soler and Fulkrug coming on with Souček and Alvarez making way. And the game was just really stop-start. I didn't think there was any real patterns to it, but... It was James Ward-Prowse that had an effect, like he had an effect the last time we played him at their place, by the way, who got the assist for Fulkrug. Yeah. 1-1. It was a corner that came in, and Fulkrug seemingly unmarked at the far post.
I don't know what's
happened. So frustrating that.
And come on, I mean, when he comes on the pitch, he's the main threat.
Yeah.
So really, really surprised that we allowed it to be that easy for him, because it's sometimes when it's someone that you don't expect, you kind of go, they're picking up the main threat. He's the main threat. So yeah, it was frustrating one to concede like that. And then it was about how we reacted. We obviously reacted with subs. But that didn't help, because they scored about a minute after our subs, didn't they?
Well, the same that happened at Ipswich. Yeah. And it emanated from the same side as well, our right-hand side. So James Hill was one of the people to come on, as well as David Brooks, Smith and Scott.
I didn't mind the subs in the sense that I wanted Brooksy on.
And he was playing in that 10.
Yeah, and I wanted Brooksy on there. I think he's been a good little spark off the bench. And I do also appreciate how long Swift's been out. And Hill's great. But I think the fact that they then get the cross from that side, Hill's just come on, it doesn't stop the cross, and I just wonder, a couple more minutes, is he a bit sharper?
Yeah. But
Houghton should do better as well, but it's a good header. Bloody good.
Yeah, but how tall is he? Not that tall.
About my height, yeah.
How on earth did he win that header? But good header. Keppel was at full stretch, nothing you could do about that. And then West Ham 2-1. At that stage, I'm sort of thinking, here we go again. But I'll tell you what, we do all right after that moment. Some changes are made. Marcus Senesi, Winterburn coming on for Zabani and Ouattara. Bit of a shape change with what David Brooks going out wide where Dango was, and then Ben Winterburn filling that 10. And you know what? Fair play, because whenever Ben Winterburn's played before, he's not really touched the ball that much, but it's just his energy in pressing. We saw with one of the goals that we scored, I think it was at Everton, was it, where his pressing contributed to one of the defenders losing it, etc.
Right.
And this time, he's on the ball and he runs with the ball for a significant distance.
Yeah.
It felt like 15, 20 yards, wins the free kick.
Never a free kick.
Was it not?
Never a free kick.
In this day and age, it probably is, though.
I think what he did, he put his body in front of Ward-Prowse really cleverly, and then was expecting a touch to start going, and never came. Yeah. But we definitely deserved that with a few of the others.
Well, we did, and then it looked like David Brooks was going to just swing it over, but then Kepa sprinted out.
That's intelligent, by the way.
But what does that, because Brooks could have still put that in anyway.
Yeah, he could have, but I think a little bit of movement on the ball, then players then start coming out to Brooks a little bit. It's just,
I think he might be getting short.
Yeah, don't mind it.
And then Howson was sent forward to, the ball was won by Howson, put across the far stick, and I thought it might have been going wide until our Brazilian man came in at the far post and just got a touch to the outside of his right foot into the back of the net.
Great striking instincts again, and as I say, Howson will probably feel he could have done better for their goal, but he makes up for it straight away. So it was perfect. You can see we were aiming at him, and they'll probably say the same about with the Fulkrug goal that I said. That you'd see we're aiming for Howson, and he still wins it. So it was, and to be fair, we had a lot of, I think you mentioned it earlier, we had a lot of poor set pieces during the game. Brooksy's ball was bang on. Those aiming for Howson, got Howson, Evers there at the back stick, happy days. And then what I liked about the team then is, because like I say, we've made a few changes, so we're not great in terms of the options we've got. I thought we were the team that wanted to win it. If the ref had said to both managers, you can play another 10 minutes, I know which one would have said yes. Yeah,
I would have. I mean, they had one moment where Howson's managed to intercept, but apart from that, we had a couple of chances where
it was all down our end.
Semenyo was some wayward shooting, and then a shot where he was queued up where he just needed to put it either side of the keeper, fired it straight at him. There was a West Ham defender coming, and he sort of waited a bit too long. I think it dictated the angle of the ball, and it went straight into his arms. Also, Jefferson running through on goal. Lewis Cook was busting the gut to get alongside him, and unfortunately, he didn't either see or couldn't get the ball to him. His first touch took him wide, and then he almost ran into the corner playing for time.
That was a moment, mate. I don't think he was doing that. I don't think he's trying to keep the ball in the corner. Irola would have wanted to win the game, but he just, Cooks, but fair play to Lewis Cook, by the way, he's betting us a minute, and he busted a gut, like you say, to get through.
Would he have scored anyway? And if so, how would he have scored? I can't imagine Lewis Cook
just put him in the corner. Or
what would he do on a
dink
1-1?
him, or round him. I don't
know what he would do, whether he'd try to round him, whether he'd take it early, whether he'd dink. I don't think he's a dinker.
He's probably not a dinker. But yeah, I just think that Jefferson, that shows the lack of kind of quality and experience, unfortunately, and lack of minutes as well. He comes on, he makes the wrong decision. But that was a shame. And I know it's easy in hindsight, people saying, why the hell would you take Ever off? If you're at the gate, obviously, he was dead on his feet. But I do appreciate as well, if anything comes in the box, you probably want Ever there. So maybe a little bit strange, but just went for energy in the end. And and then it kind of filtered out. But as I say, what I liked about us, considering we were 2-1 down with just over 10 minutes ago or something, we were the team that looked like winning it. We were the stronger team.
We looked fairly comfortable. Yeah. The heat maps sort of dictate that there's a lot of warmth in the West Ham zone half, because they just like to play about with it in their own half and not necessarily doing much with it. And I think that got the their fans quite frustrated. Whereas ours, even though it looks like most of the football's in our half, it is up their end, but it's very quick transitions, and that's what we did a number of times, including that attack with Jefferson. We had 547 touches to their 680, so they had more of the ball, like we expected.
Which we like.
The attacking momentum shows that West Ham probably, in terms of momentum-wise, were stronger, but the height of the charts, especially towards the end of the first half, indicates that our chances were a lot better. The second half, it didn't feel like it was West Ham's game, but that makes it look like it was. Our chances were few and far between. We probably should have been more clinical with it. Indeed, in the shots, we did have more, 11 to their 9. It didn't feel like a match that was laden with shots, did it?
No, probably a few block ones in there, but yeah, no, it didn't, I suppose. But yeah, I'm glad that we edged that metric because it felt like we did edge it.
But the XG there, mate, I mean, 2.12 to their 0.69. I mean, XG doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter. No. However, when you look at that, that always feels as like the stats even show that we probably should have got something from it.
Yeah, annoying. And I hit the bar as well, so that probably plays a part. But yeah, it is annoying because I don't think they've done much apart from the 2 goals, which they took well, obviously, whereas we had a few more moments, definitely.
Man of the match and ratings from Who Scored. That's a statistical way of looking at the game, but I think you know.
Seba.
Evan Nilsson, yeah, he indeed was with 8.0. Their highest scorer, by the looks of it, Jared Bowen with 7.9. Fulkrug also on 7.3.
Look at the worst rated on the pitch. I called it. Areola.
Yeah, like 5.
Terrible, isn't it? Yeah, I think, it's interesting with all them sort of ranges. Because I don't know what you thought, mate. I think because Evan Nilsson was the obvious man of the match, we don't really need to discuss it. Yeah. I was quite impressed with, in terms of just going about their business really well, with Adams and Cook.
Yeah.
I thought Adams and Cook were good. I thought everyone else was okay, but probably a little bit below their normal standards. Smithy's obviously hard to judge. I think Zaba, Houghton, Kirkes, Semenyo, Dango, Scott would all think they could do a little bit more. So to still come out of it with a 2-2 and probably edge the game is good, mate.
I just, I really want Alex Scott to work, and I don't know kind of where's best and who's best to play around him, but he's just not. I've seen him on the clips reels for Bristol City on YouTube when you look at it, and he just seems to have the freedom of the park. He's so good on the ball, but I don't know, it feels like he's not up to the physicality of it at times. There are a number of occasions where he's knocked off the ball and you just feel as though you just need him to be a little bit stronger, almost like beef up like Brooksy has. Yeah,
maybe a little bit. I know what you mean. But listen, if he's ever going to do it, it's now. If we don't think we'll see Christie, Alex Scott's got a chance. He's got a chance. He's got to try and grab it. And maybe even because I was kind of surprised he started over Brooks actually, but maybe Andoli's looking at that and going, look, you've got a chance now. We're going to give you a few games in a row and see how you get on. There's clearly a good footballer there, so I'm hoping he can find his role and do it, because he wasn't naturally in that 10. I didn't think. I thought Adams was deep and Cook was bombing on as much as Scott. So it'd be interesting to see if we look at that more as a 4-3-3 rather than a 4-2-3-1 going forward. It'd be interesting to see.
Well, look, we analyse these games in depth every single week, but it doesn't matter because myself and Tom have worked out how it ends already. So just to remind you, AFC Bournemouth come 8th. That's the end of back of the net this season. We've come 8th. We've got Europe. Happy days. No, that's what we'd like to be saying, but we've got some big matches ahead, and there's no bigger than your next game. And Fulham is a big game though, based on where they are in the league. So we could leapfrog them if we get a result. Yeah.
Huge game, mate. Huge game. I think this week is massive. Next week, in terms of playing, you only got to look at the league table and see we've got Fulham and Palace in a row. So huge. I think if we can beat Fulham and then stop getting 2-2s in London, who knows? But yeah, I honestly, when people say it's done, this club, they're finished, they're fallen off a cliff. That's when we'll just suddenly win 4 and bounce. That's what we do. All right.
It could happen. However you've been listening to this, whether it's been on the pod or on YouTube, we thank you very much. There's going to be some quite tasty content this week on the channel, so make sure you subscribe. And what else can they do?
Click the little bell thing, click the like button as well. Really appreciate all that, and see you in Europe, I guess.
Other Chaz.
It's a long way to Stockport when you're shit. I think Stockport are doing well in League One, that's what I said.
Oh, are they? Okay.
I believe that. Have you ever been to Stockport?
No.
Edgeley? God, we're good, aren't we?